This is how I turn DJI D-Log M footage from this into this. So I'm going to open up Premiere Pro. I have some footage from my DJI Osmo Action 4. Now I'm going to go up to editing and go down to color, spelled incorrectly. Firstly, what we're going to want to do is go to Google Chrome or your browser of choice. I won't judge. We're going to want to go to the DJI official website because they have their own LUTs on their websites. By the way, if you don't know what a LUT is a lookup table, and its basic job is to turn log footage, which is footage which can capture as much light and color information as possible, back to Rec 709, which is the standard color profile which most screens use. DJI Osmo Action 4, that's the one I want, but if you're using any other DJI product, this is where you go, and all the drones that they have as well. Once that's downloaded, we're going to go back into Premiere Pro. Here is some footage of a car driving around, probably far too fast. We're going to select our footage. On the basic correction tab, which is the top one, we're going to go to input LUTs, and we're going to go to browse. Here's mine. Make sure you remember where you downloaded it to. Boom, that's already done a huge difference. That's with it off and that's with it on. Already brought back basically all the color. Premiere Pro has this cool feature called auto here in the basic correction tab. If you press it, it automatically does what it thinks it should do for the best image. So honestly, using this, it is not bad at all. That looks very good. It's brought back the nice greens, the sky, which is slightly overexposed and also quite dreary, has got some blue in it, and the redness of the car is pretty red. Let's reset that and see how we can do it a little bit more manually. A good thing which I like to do, and a lot of other people like to do, is to make a adjustment layer. This is basically a layer of just nothing which you can apply effects to, and then it will affect everything below it in the timeline. So I'm going to bring in my adjustment layer, slap this on top, and obviously there's no difference now because it is basically just a transparent layer above the footage. While selecting the adjustment layer, get rid of the basic correction and go to the curves. This is where we're going to mess around with the hue versus saturation and the hue versus luma. Hue, so that's color, so color versus saturation. So you pick a color and then you say how saturated that color should be on the image. So we're going to go with the red, it's the most obvious one, and there you go, it's selected the red for us. And I'm just going to bring this up, and this here should help to bring the color of the car up. There you go. It looks quite boring without it. It is a car, so it's metal and it's shiny, so there's quite a few shades of red in it. So what I might do is create another, so you can make it a bit wider, and we can cover more ground when it comes to the color. Basically, the whole body of the car is now far brighter. The rest of the image is pretty much exactly the same. It's only affecting the redness of the car. But what about all this greenery and foliage next to it? We want that to look nice and bright as well, don't we? So I'm going to do the same thing with some green, and we're going to bump this up. And it's hard to tell the difference until you actually turn it off and back on again. That's made a bit of difference. But again, there's more shades of green, there's a bit of brown in it as well. I'm going to add another dot in here. Drag these out a bit. Like so. We don't want to go all the way up here because then it will just look a bit silly, and it will also break apart the image. We can see it's artifacting in it now, which does not look good. Before and after. Before and after. That is a nice difference. Now, I think we should move on to the sky. That's the other big section in this, which it wasn't the nicest of days which I filmed this on. So let's select some blue and make this more saturated. Because blue is on the edge, it can be a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to move the slider down here a bit. And I'm going to do the exact same thing again and make another dot just so I can get more blue in it. I might even nudge this over a bit. And I might add one in the middle as well, so it's a bit of a nicer curve. So it's not as abrupt of the colors changing in saturation. Without, oh, it just looks, it doesn't even look like we've applied the LUT to it when we turn off the hue versus saturation, does it? And then back on. Off and back on. It adds a lot to it. We don't want to go too overboard because then we will see artifacting, as I mentioned, with the grass. So now, just by utilizing one setting in the curves section of Lumetri Color in Premiere Pro, we have been able to change the image from this to this. That's pretty good. Now, something else we can do, if you want to, in creative, is we can use one of these looks. You can download looks, but Premiere Pro has a lot already installed. It kind of depends what look you're going for. This here is already really quite good, but if we want to, we can choose one of these. We can use Gold Rush, and it looks terrible, doesn't it? But that's because the intensity is at 100. Whack the intensity almost all, like, really far down. Let's go with that there. And then with it off, with it on. With it off, with it on. Maybe a little bit further down as well. Yeah, so subtle. It's made the road a little bit more blue. A lot of this is just messing around with the settings, to be honest. It can be quite tedious, so that's why the auto settings in the basic correction is so good and so useful. So lastly, I'm going to add a vignette. Now, I like to do this on a separate adjustment layer, because if I have other clips, even though the color correction will be different for every shot, I will want the vignette to stay the same. So I just like to do this on a separate adjustment layer. So we're going to go to the last tab in the Lumetri color effects tab, and the best way to do vignette is just to kind of go the most extreme, just so we can actually see what each section does. So if you want something where it's just on the edges, or you might want something where it covers the border as well, but that just means you can actually work out what each of these 4 sliders does. There we go. I am happy with that. This is without the vignette, and this is with the vignette. It's totally optional if you even want a vignette. It can make footage look that little bit more cinematic sometimes. Gonna make the clip a bit longer so we can actually see it. But yeah, this is our finished clip. I think that looks pretty good. That may have seemed like it took ages, but in reality, all you really need to do is apply the LUTs in basic corrections, and then if you want to do nothing else, you can leave it, or if you want to do a little bit more, the little bit more being clicking one button, the auto button, that does 95% of what I've just spent the last 20 minutes doing here.